so bad. I didn't get the job. And then I moved on. I say, hey, I tried, and that'd be pretty stupid to fill out another application because I went through their system and they said no. But filling out an application, it's not like a credit application where, oh, you didn't get it, so that's it. And it literally is, it could be your timing was off. There's a different manager is going to review your next application. They weren't hiring and now they are hiring. Or, which happens a lot with me, is it shows me that, hey, if somebody keeps on calling me and trying to get a job for me, maybe I'm just not one of 1,000 people. Maybe they really want this job. Maybe they are going to be a little more serious than the next guy that doesn't want the job, that's just filling it out because he has unemployment or something. So I would find that job that you want and keep on keeping on. Even, and this is another thing that's so important, even if you get a job somewhere, don't say, okay, I got my job, and let go of the reins and, forget your job hunt. You should always kind of be on a job hunt as long as it's a lateral position to something better with more opportunity, not because, oh, you got in a fight with this guy or you don't like this manager. So don't leave your job because of the negative things that are going on there. Just, you could leave a job because there's something better, a step up. Because one of the things is, if you have worked for a company for, let's say, a long time, that in itself is worth more than a college degree in some cases. Because if you got 20 people applying, most everybody has a college degree, but most everybody was jumping from job to job to job, usually tells me, trouble in paradise, where there's smoke, there's fire. Why was this person leaving? And never fails. I talk to the guy and he'll say, oh yeah, I left my job because my manager was, and while he's talking, I'm just thinking, I'm going to have that same damn conversation with you. And they'll say, oh, well, he just didn't give me enough hours. And I'm thinking, oh boy, you think that's bad? You wait till winter with me or something. And you want your work history to speak for itself, because otherwise, when these guys are just talking, and when I say guys, I mean guys and girls. This man is mankind in my brain. Not that I hire a lot of girls, because of what I do is physical, and my wife doesn't want me to have be driving around with a girl all day, so that's understandable. And to be honest with you, I don't think most girls want to be driving around with me all day either, because it takes a lot of work to tune me out. Anyway, so we're looking at these applications. We're looking for work history, and that is a reason to put me at the top of the list. For me to put your paper or your resume at the top of the list, it does separate you, coupled with calling all the time. And so now you got your job, and you want to make your money. And if you don't get a job, the one thing you have to remember is, if it's easy, it's probably going to be easier to fill that position. Like everybody always talks about GameStop and those types of jobs. But the problem is so many people apply for it that, guess what? All they have to do is say, all right, minimum wage, done. They just filled the schedule up. They don't need somebody full time because they don't want to pay benefits. So they'll give you, 35 hours or whatever. They'll never give you 40 hours, typically. So I think, and it's, to me, it's harder to work in those places too, because you will lose a lot of times. It sounds good, but you're not in there playing video games. It's still retail. You're still going to be looking at your watch and waiting for 5 o'clock to go home. So one of the things, surprisingly, is find something that people don't like to do. I don't care if you want to be a roofer. You're like, oh, roofing's not for me. It's you got to be Mexican to be a roofer and blah blah blah. Say, look, you don't think those guys that are good roofers are saying, yeah, I'll work for you, 20-something bucks an hour. You're like, what? No. If you get good, I don't care if English isn't even your second language. You don't even you think English is something that you drink on the weekend and it's old. It's hard work and it pays. And my thing is, like my dad used to tell me, is you should be able to handle 8 hours of anything. And at the beginning, let's face it, you're trying to get a roof over your head, trying to get a car, trying to basically survive, get your cheap e-insurance that, well, maybe not e-insurance, but what was like some of these insurances, like what was one of them, like General. And I wonder if you were to get in an accident, where would the General be? You know, he's generally not available, maybe, but it's but you just get the cheapest of everything. You know, you just want to be barely legal. So you get your job and just go to whether it's carpet cleaning, window cleaning, it's roofing. Find out these specialty jobs that people do not like to do. Go to a rim shop and just change tires, and you're doing a few things. One is you're learning a trade that later on could get you through college. The other thing is you're going to be paid more, because even if at the very beginning, just get your shoe in and get in the door and learn a trade. Show up to work, listen, don't run your mouth, like everybody else is doing nowadays. And you'll become good at it, and you'll become better at it, and you'll start to enjoy it a little bit, and then you'll be worth more. The boss, for selfish reasons, will pay you more, and you could be earning, when you learn your trade, $20 an hour. And we're talking about, if you want hours, you're going to get hours. If you're good, you'll get hours. Anybody that tells me, hey, my boss is not really working me that much, and it's like a trade, something's going on there. You're not firing on all cylinders, because even if it's a smaller company, if you're good, you'll help the company grow. The neighbors will want their job, whatever you're doing, whatever trade you're doing, because they'll say, oh, let me go tell my friend, let me go this. And if the boss is like, wait a minute, we're getting referrals because of you, your butt is going to be busy, and it may work against you if you don't like a lot of hours. But it's something that kids either don't. I just think it's not the kids' fault, because I don't think they're told this. A lot of it is, oh, what school are you going to go to? For years, I'll talk about school. You'll go visit campus, but that's fine for the few that can afford it, or the parents can afford it. But what about the rest of us? Like I was just leaving LA right now, and you see like the ABC building and Warner Brothers and all that stuff, and all these buildings are nice, and I'm sure that a lot of these people have stories of, okay, they went to high school, then they went to college, they graduated, and then they became they had their apprenticeship somewhere, and then they moved up the ladder, and now they're in corporate America making $137,000 a year. And that's fine, but that's not everybody, because in between those buildings, there are a lot of industrial buildings, there are a lot of homes where people are working, a lot of smaller offices, a lot of valleys, and that's where most people wind up. And they're trying to get to that big building, but let's face it, it's rare that we could all just walk up to that job and get on that fast track to success. So the other thing too is, if it seems like, okay, that's the way to go and it's the only way to go, you may be more wrong than you think, because a lot of these people do not have life experience, doing the daily grind. I think working for a smaller company, and it makes you responsible because you're out and about, and things don't always go well, so you have to improvise. And it's weird, because I know a lot of people that work for the government, especially the younger guys, they get a job. Let's say they go first the military, and then they get out, and then they're a police officer. They work for the government, and everything's always an itinerary. Everything's written down. There's always rules and codes, and it's weird, because a lot of times these guys have no empathy. Like it's like a cop that pulls somebody over and they're just looking at the car, shaking their head. And it's like, well, this guy, this is the best he could do. And sorry, one of his mud flaps is ripped off, and the cop will just write down the vehicle code and give him a ticket for it. But it's like, no, he's working his tail off just trying to keep gas in the car, trying to make sure it runs, and life's throwing all these other problems at him, but the cop's like, no, my car's fine. Well, yeah, because you have a job with the government and you got out, and a cop can lose that too. He could overspend and get in trouble, but it's the empathy of being there. You could really relate to people, and people will like you more. And in the workplace, that's very important. Not to be liked for the sake of being liked, but if you want to be a leader, you get people to do stuff because they want to do things for you. In that, if I'm a supervisor and I make you do X, Y, Z, sure, some jobs you have to make people do their job. Some people that don't want to do it, you can still make them do it. They'll do it begrudgingly. If you're like a former drill instructor in the Marines, and you're used to sending people up that hill, and there's a machine gun turret at the top, you have to do things a certain way. And that works great for enforcing law and for sending people around that signed a contract that said they'll be there for 3 years, they can't leave. But guess where it doesn't work? In the private sector. Not so much anyway. And because what happens is, sure, you can move a company along and people say, oh yeah, look at, we're moving forward as a company. But the person that gets people to do things for him because they like him, my gosh, you talk about, you could start a cult technically if you want to, because you can motivate people. People like you, they trust you, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is the type of person to do that. Sometimes you put yourself in other people's shoes, and you have empathy, and you can understand, okay, this is why somebody's doing this or somebody did that. And you can kind of sift the wheat through the chaff a little bit better than, nope, you didn't do this, so hellfire and brimstone. And of course, not in every case. Of course, there's plenty of wise, well-rounded people in all walks of life. And I thank God for the government. He's the one that put it in place. So, but it's just in general to think that, if I didn't have this upbringing or this root, it's a negative thing. It's a bad thing. No, it's like I said at the very beginning, is you have to look at your situation as, hey, if I didn't have this, maybe I wouldn't get to where I was now. If I would have just fast tracked it, maybe I'd have a lot more voids, and trying to be filling them with other things, after work parties, or who knows, so. The guy that maybe partied when he was young, maybe got out of his system, so he's not doing it later on and having marital problems. I don't know, but that's kind of how you just have to look at things. Say, okay, wherever you go, there you're at. You're there in life. You're at that point with your experiences. Don't look back and with sorrow, because think of the Statue of Liberty. Now think of an airplane. You think of an airplane and a Statue of Liberty and focus on them. You can only focus on one thing at a time. You can't focus on the Statue of Liberty and the airplane at the same time. Your mind will go back and forth, and probably doing it fast, or you're calling me a liar, but it has to stop, and you're dividing your brain power up. So if you're looking at your past and saying, oh, poor me, I didn't do this, I didn't have this experience, I didn't go to this school, I didn't blah, 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 you're not thinking of your future and the best way to get there, at least not as much. And every brain cell you designate to your pity party is something that you're not going to be using to move you forward. So whether it's, okay, at this point you need to go back to school, then do it, or more school, then do it. But just focus on moving forward and just keep on forging. And like I always say, the fact that you can move forward